These are some Dinar Guru updates, starting off with Walking Stick article quote, two conditions to achieve it. Al-Sudani's advisor rules out removing 3 zeros from the currency. Walking Stick says these articles, this is misleading, is intentionally right now. Contradicting statements are found throughout all of these statements, all of these articles. The 25 note has to become a 25K note. There isn't even a 25K note. So when did Iraq last have a 25K note? Never. I'm sorry, a 25 note. Never. Right, moving on to Claire has an article, quote, central bank contracts with international auditing firm in New York. Another quote, this came during separate meetings with a group of companies such as Visa, MasterCard, MoneyGram, as the international auditing company KPMG. All right, Yada says, considering the revelation of last week's progress in New York regarding the activation of Iraq's ability to exchange the other currency worldwide starting Friday, the digital conversations of dinars to other countries and vice versa. That was achieved on Friday. I believe the RI is done and awaiting the market's reopening. Trillions in dinar will gain value and contracts and agreements will be active. All right, Sampson has an article, quote, after the success of the recent negotiations in Washington, an expert identifies indicators of a decline in demand for the dollar. Sandy Ingram says Iraq exports around 65% of its crude oil to Asia markets such as China and India and ships the remaining 20% to Europe and 15% to the United States. All right, Militia Man says you didn't have anybody talking about privatizing the banks 20 years ago. It wasn't in the pipeline. It's obviously different from 2016. We don't have ISSI anymore. It's obviously different from 2018. Why would they print all that currency in 2018, then just stop doing it? It's really a complex situation. It's more than just pushing a button. There was a component of corruption. We all know they're going to have transparency and accountability with the likes of Ernst and Young involved. The world will find confidence. You're going to find big things are underway for this country. All right, Mark Z via PDK said deleting the zeros project is back in major conversations in Iraq. I want to make certain you all know how that process works. They raise the purchasing power, they increase the purchasing power of the dinar. Then they issue lower denomination. They do not just chop off the zeros, but using the large 3-0 notes would become unwieldy. They have been very clear on this from government documents, Sadani and Shabibi. All right, Claire has an article, quote, central bank announces results of New York meetings, quote, a high-level negotiating delegation headed by Governor Ali Mohsen Al-Alak held a series of intensive meetings in New York City, which included discussions with U.S. Treasury Department and the Federal Reserve Bank, in addition to meetings with a group of companies, Visa, MasterCard, MoneyGram, as well as banks Citibank and JP Morgan, as well as international auditing firms KPMG, E&I, K2I, and Oliver Wyman. All right, lastly, Sampson has an article, quote, the Minister of Finance follows up on regulation of the work of government banks with the international auditing firm Ernst and Young. Article number 2, central bank contracts with international auditing firm in New York.